revenue impact? How are working with aggregators shaping your business? Have you found it to be really beneficial? Is it bringing in new customers? What's the margin look like after begin to, cover the costs of the menu aggregators? Those sorts of questions. Maybe take 10 or 15 minutes there. Move into the customer experience. Do you hear back from your customers around their experience with online ordering? Do you encounter issues and customer issues with online ordering that you need to deal with? And then finally, just giving some of your thoughts and perspectives on how the overall process could be improved. Things that, you see as either low-hanging fruit, where if it was changed, it would just make the whole thing a lot better for you guys in your day-to-day operations of your restaurant. So, and we should probably reserve just a few minutes at the end where you guys can just, if there's anything else on your mind, doesn't have to be related to menu aggregators. We can talk about any other issues that you have that are sort of forefront, keep you up at night, things you like, things you don't like, just to get your some additional feedback while you guys are on the line. So with that, don't hold back. Be out. Let us hear it. Certainly want to get all your thoughts and perspectives, and feel free to jump in. As you hear Daryl or Costa say something that resonates with you, let it all out. Nothing to do. So, and Quentin and I will probably be peppering you with as well, based off of what you're saying. So, Daryl, I don't know if you want to kick it off with, your overall thoughts on some of the operational issues that you've encountered. Maybe who are you using? What's the setup process like? How has it been maintaining it? Things like that.
So you mean as far as the aggregators, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Well, we've actually been with Revel for about 3 years now, and we about a year ago is when we were introduced to Uber Eats, and shortly after that, well, maybe about 6 months later, Amazon Restaurants, which was something I'd never heard of before. We also were approached by DoorDash and finally Postmates. So the experience that I've had is Uber Eats tends to work best for us. They're most consistent in sending us business. Amazon Restaurants, we went with them mainly for the, the high profile or assumingly higher profile presence, having the Amazon name attached to us, but they don't get much business, at least not in our market. Postmates is probably the biggest thorn in the side probably for most companies, I think, or most restaurants, in that their particular model is so sketchy. I mean, they actually grab your menu without being a partner of theirs, create a website or create a presence that people can actually place orders from, and then they send someone in to take the order. So eventually one day they reached out to me about, well, let's do a partnership the same way as with Uber Eats and the rest, which means that now they want, of course, their percentage for doing the same thing they were already doing for free, yep, which doesn't make much sense. So they promised me initially, well, you'll get priority orders, you'll be on the top of the list, we'll advertise for you, we'll push, we'll do blah, 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 blah. I tried them for 1 month. They had so many technical problems, so many service problems, and there was absolutely no advantage to giving them a percentage that didn't do anything worthwhile. DoorDash was the least flexible of the group. They wanted the highest percentage. and they also seem to have my particular area saturated. So there's no advantage to being with them because I have too much competition on their forum already. So that's been my experience as far as diving in with them. Over the course of this year, Amazon calls us one of their preferred, or whatever their fancy word is, partners. In other words, we do a lot of business for Uber Eats. The rest of them are hit and miss.
Huh, that's interesting. So overall, it sounds like Uber Eats has been, really good. They work the best. And then with DoorDash, Postmates, and Amazon, it's been kind of hit or miss. Technical issues, a free model that moved to a pay model, but
Right.
no real advantage for any of those guys. Do you know, with Uber Eats, kind of what percentage of your business is coming across through them?
So Uber Eats, 5-6%, maybe something like that, maybe. See, the thing is, we also have in-house deliveries. We already did have in-house deliveries. The reason for even considering any of these companies was, at that particular time, those companies were sort of absorbing the independent delivery drivers from the restaurants. They can make more money running orders for Uber than we can afford to pay, so that made it more lucrative for them. So we had to basically compete for delivery drivers. That's balanced back out again. We have like 25 years experience doing in-house delivery, so it's not something that would have the same impact as, say, a new upstart who has no idea what someone taking between 25 and 35% really means.
Yep. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And then maybe you want to switch over for a second to Costa and get your rundown of who you're working with and.
Sorry, my English is not the first language, so I may not 100% understand the question sometimes. So you mean aggregator means the third-party partners for online orders?
That's right. For example, Uber Eats or Caviar or Amazon or, Postmates, any of those menu aggregators or online ordering systems that allow you to allow users or customers to order online for your restaurant.
So I live in Canada. We don't have Amazon. We don't have Postmates. Postmates try to come, they sign a deal, but I'm looking for with Postmates because Postmates works better than DoorDash actually. But we have Skip Dishes. I don't know if you heard it. We have Uber Eats. Uber Eats is the best actually. Not for commission. Commission-wise, depends how much you want to pay. If you said they're not good, Uber is the best. They charge the most because it's the most efficient working partner. I never use other one you guys mentioning. Amazon, I never use it. I don't know how they work. Uber Eats is more like calling a taxi as well. They come always right away, and also they have a rough estimate time within 10 minutes, 5 minutes. But the rest of the competitors cannot do it. DoorDash cannot do it. We have Foodora from Germany. Yeah, it's good, but they're not as popular as Uber Eats. So that's one of the reasons I'm using Revel because of Charlie. I don't know if you know Charlie.
Yeah, they're the integrator. So
yeah. So because this Little Burger joint, we are working on expanding a specific module to make it as a franchise. So working on it, it's not as easy, but we find out there's a lot of problem. After joining Revel, Review is okay. It's not great, actually, trust me. But because of the kiosk and the integration with Charlie, that's why we choose Review instead of Touch Pistol. All the delivery partners, they all charging almost the same commissions, like 25 to 30, almost the same. Their service is varied. The most efficient one is Uber Eats. Less problem, and you don't always need to call. The driver is okay. The rest of them is only Foodora can compete, but Foodora is coming from Europe, so there's no way you guys can compare in and out. Commission-wise, they're almost eating the same kind of profit, but if you're telling them they're asking for a service fee, you're willing to pay more. Some customers willing to do it. If they don't, then you can just skip it, right? You cannot serve everybody. You cannot serve for free, right? People have to pay for the service. That's why we are using it.
Yeah.
Because using Charlie is not cheap. We almost spend like $400 or $500 to integrate certain things, and it was not cheap at all. So the bottom line is, as long as customer willing to pay for it and there's a service fee, then go ahead. Other than that, we don't deal with the situation like you eating my profit. No, I'm going to let you do it. No, I'm not. We don't do it. We have to try a way how to increase the price and people willing to pay for it, and that's why we're using the kiosk too. With the kiosk and walk-in and take-out, we can do a certain type of a club to attract customers. But until now, because Review actually sucks, there's so many bugs in so many things. We're not able to move forward to set up like a club to let people say, if you order online, pick up through our platform, we give 5% off. We use the Uber Eats. You go through us, and we will offer you something else. They cannot do it yet, but there are certain bugs that it already stopped us at this point. Using 3 months, nothing is moving on. So everything basic is good with Charlie and kiosk. Basic items, basic features. Other than that is the commission for the third party. The worst one is skip the dishes. We can say that because they're not efficient. They cause us attention to process the order instead of we receive it and do it. We have to receive it. We have to wait for the drivers. There's no point.
Okay.
I never see any this way. So they're almost charging the same commission, but different efficiency.
Okay. So it sounds like you guys have sort of a mixed experience with the various aggregators out there. It sounds like Uber Eats tends to be the most efficient based off of what I'm hearing, which is interesting. I think, Costa, it sounds like there's some issues that maybe make sense to talk about potentially later, but let's see if we can dive down a little bit deeper into some of the aggregator issues. It sounds like you're using Charlie now as an integrator. Daryl, I don't think you're using an integrator. Is that correct?
I'm not. I considered Charlie, and there was another company, I don't remember. I think my Rebel rep recommended them, and I came right to the point of about to go through with them. But my issues were not so much the cost of the service, but again, since we're accustomed to deliveries, we're accustomed to processes already to expedite our deliveries. This is doing these aggregators is not taxing our staff or anything like that. More so, my concern was if this order goes into the system, if it just appears in Rebel and they start making it, it seems like we have to do just as much, go through just as many changes to resolve issues as doing it manually. In other words, if we're out of something, unless there's something I don't know how to do in Revel, I don't have a way of Revel rejecting an item because it's out of stock. We've run out of chicken for today, for instance. An order comes in, and if it comes in manually, then we can grab it and say, oh, we just found this out. Now we're going to call the guest and get that all resolved. If it goes into Revel, we're concerned about at what point are we going to be aware of this from our kitchen, and then we still have to go back through Uber Eats or whoever's process to resolve it. We might as well be there right at the beginning where we're focused on that. Also, what was my other concern with that? Also, if we need to delay an order, or for that matter, if we're just ready for pickup of the order, we still have to go back to that tablet that the aggregators provide in order to communicate with them. We can't just do that directly through Revel. So it's a waste for us to have someone in the middle. We get the order, we put it in the same time, in a couple of minutes, a few seconds, actually put it in there, and we're in control of the whole process.
Yeah. So it sounds like you really actually want that middleman piece where you can get the order, figure out if there's an issue with it, control when it gets entered, and take care of that all by yourself, just in order to ensure, or just really because the communication back to, say, Uber Eats becomes more difficult, because then you have to go through their sort of log on, jump back onto their iPad and go through that process to communicate things back to them.
Right. It doesn't, translating it into Revel, doesn't seem like such a big process happening. And to be honest, my main reason for being interested in this particular conversation was in hopes that Revel is trying to find some solutions to make that work better for us.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we're having this call, to kind of understand, or to really understand the pain points. And it sounds like for you, you'd rather spend additional manual time just to make sure you have perfect control over the order, as opposed to have it automatically enter your system, but only because resolving issues is more painful once that order is kind of in play than it is up front. So yeah, obviously what we're looking into is how can we automate that process, but still give you guys control over the order and the interaction with the order as it moves from the aggregator into your system, and then communication back to the aggregator. So trying to streamline all that, but and make resolving issues that might arise easier. So do you have
something else that I discovered? Excuse me, just a moment. Something I discovered right at the time when we joined Uber Eats was right at the time when Revel was, or whomever was, phasing out your original integration with Uber's original delivery service. And I remember reading about that in some of the old Revel docs that sounded really exciting, to be able to see track the driver on screen, and some of the other things that seemed to be implied about the old way that you guys integrated. But apparently Uber Eats changed their system somehow so that option was no longer available. Is that what am I understanding that's what happened?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate description of it. We were marching down a nice path with them, and they made some changes that sort of left us hanging a little bit.
All right, understood.
Understood. So hey, let's move on to the next section around sort of the impact that the aggregators have had on your business, as far as, are you able to tell if they're bringing in a new clientele, new customers, or is it sort of your same customer base, but now they order online and come into your restaurant? did it feel like the aggregators are increasing your business, or and you know, how integral to your business are they at this point? Maybe Daryl, let's start with you, and then we'll move to Costa.
Okay, well, I'll try to keep it brief, but the impact, Uber Eats seems to be in a world of its own for us right now. We don't get, it's very rare that one of our regular guests even discusses Uber Eats. Many of them are not aware of it, but as they become aware, then I believe they're trying it here and there, but they are accustomed to our direct service. In some cases, they get a little concerned when they're going through a third party. Sometimes they have people who sound as though they have a language issue. Some people who are, in terms of the service and support team with Uber Eats and the other services. And then, let's use an example of Amazon does a better job at communicating service. They're very easy to communicate with in those instances. But again, I may get 5 Amazon orders in a week, and that's a good week for them. Versus with Uber Eats, I may get up to 300 in a week.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the point being that some people are a little scared away from the newness of Uber Eats. Now, the people who are accustomed to using Uber Eats, many of them have become regulars for us. We have some, we know the name when it comes up. They order the same thing every day. We are aware of them. We've done as much as we can, but little has actually enticed them to come into the restaurant, but at least they're more aware of us. So I believe they're talking to other people and say, hey, we ordered from Pearl's place on Uber Eats, and those other people are saying, well, where is that? Let's go there. But the ones who use Uber Eats are like, well, we're not going anywhere. We're staying here. Let it come to us. So, I think it's a mixed bag. We don't get a lot of people who come in and say, yeah, we found you through there, and, we couldn't wait to get here. The other thing is it has not done much to, as I was afraid it would, to cannibalize on our existing delivery client base, because in our case, at least, I think a lot of the people who order from us are just not very technologically inclined. Some of them are older people. Some of them just don't understand the whole thing with these aggregators, and they know they can just pick up the phone and call us to be done with it.
Yep. Oh, that's interesting. So I want to ask you about data metrics and if you get any kind of reporting. But before we go there, Costa, did you want to provide any insights around, your perspective on whether online ordering has brought in new customers or increased your overall business?
They do. It's just like thinking about giving them commission as part of the advertising, then you'll be more comfortable than that. There's no other way, because even you spend $100 on any other channel advertising, they may not come to eat. There's no guarantee. But working with these people, they bring in new customers, and you don't know who are the customers. There's some weird people. You know what? Sometimes you hit the wrong person in the world. We're missing one item, just $1, because we're running fast food compared to the other person on the phone that I realize he's running fine dining. They are totally different clientele, because once in a while I talk to the drivers about that is the process to handle the order from a fast food place or a fine dining is totally different. Because the way the bill every time is $100 to $300, our one is like $20-$30 each order. So we're more like doing small orders. So we are more like looking for efficient. If it's not efficient, it will be frustrating.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And is that a right characterization of your average check size, Daryl?
Not exactly, but he's in the right. He's thinking on the right. Let me tell you, buddy, you're thinking on the right lines. But what makes, again, something that makes things slightly different from us is that we do have a fast food restaurant also, and I have Uber Eats over there. And we have experience with fast food. So even though we're doing fine dining, when we're talking about deliveries and pickup orders and anything other than dining in, we operate like a fast food restaurant. Now, as far as the margins, yes, our food is more expensive than, say, at Pearl's Place, our average ticket, even for delivery, may be closer to $60 versus our fast food restaurant, which is right across the street from us, may average more like $30, so about half of that. And I agree, the margins are a lot thinner there. You got to make every one of those fast food orders count, because that makes a big difference. Yeah. He's right on top of that.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. And so,
but it helps that we can. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna ask you about metrics and whether or not you guys actually get any really meaningful reporting from your aggregators around the amount of business that you're doing through them, new customers versus existing customers, or new customers to the aggregator, anything like that.
Well, Uber Eats gives you some information, but I think they like to control the game because we have actually pushed them for more information. Things fall into a black hole with them. They give you your weekly report, of course, the earnings, and they do include on the reports issues, if there's been any issues that customers complain about, and they have a process that they're trying to get a little better with it for resolving those issues. Like I think the gentleman said before, you got somebody on there who's making a big deal about an item that costs $1 or a difference in $1 in something. And if Uber Eats in particular doesn't handle it well, then you end up losing out on $20 for a $1 complaint. So they do have a system built in there when they send the metrics that lets you see where those complaints are, so we can go back and defend them. And 99% of the time, they end up, paying us for that difference. And I don't know how they handle the customer, but yes, I would love to be able to see how Uber is growing and how they're growing in my particular area, and what impact they're really having. When we ask them those specific questions, they give vague answers that basically sound like, well, a computer is running this whole game. I mean, we actually had a customer. We're not far from downtown Chicago. We had a customer who was in downtown Chicago, basically 8 minutes away from us, who tried his best to put in an almost $200 order through Uber Eats, but couldn't find us on the Uber Eats system because Uber Eats was not marketing us there, but they're marketing us to other locations with smaller tickets that are 30, 40 minutes away, using time as an example as opposed to specific distance. And when I called and said, well, how is this happening? And they say, oh, well, the computer does it does whatever its calculations are and yada, yada, yada from there. And, that's silly. They can't explain that in any better terms than that.
Yeah, that is silly. Sounds like they have some crazy algorithms running to figure out where to market and not to market, but those algorithms aren't necessarily working correctly. And it sounds like you have no real control over that you're sort of at the whim of the aggregator to figure out where you're going to be marketed?
Correct. They don't give you an option for where. For that matter, I don't necessarily want to deliver to someplace 45 minutes away because, the integrity of the food has been compromised. It just has to be, no matter how hard we try. Or either it's going to be more costly for us to control that quality and, you wash out the profits again,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And are there other kind of key pieces of information that you guys would love to have from the aggregators that you don't currently get? So it sounds like, control over where your market is would be great. Are there other facts and pieces of information that would help you run your business that you don't get currently from the aggregators?
I was going to go ahead and give the other guy the floor for a while.
Okay.
No. Actually, I have been using online order for so many years. For a while ago, they cover everything, and we see how they're struggling from losing money to balance the bill, how they do it. And you see how Uber Eats trying to make money. You see how DoorDash trying to make money. They trying to cover everything. Now, you thought they don't have everything? They have it now. They're offering pickup, delivery. They're also offering a lot of delivery options. Most likely, you will see who is going to die soon.
I'm going to be resigning.
That's one of my points.
Yeah, that's what I'm on the phone. I'm here. You faded out on me for a second. Are you still there?
We're still here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
So I don't have a lot to input because they are trying to make the business work everywhere. So they're trying to do convenience store pickup for customers, and Uber Eats trying to increase the price to make money. So they're trying to cover a lot of areas that we don't carry for, but at the same time, they're covering a lot of customers in the area that you cannot do it. So, yeah.
Okay. And then Daryl, did you have any? You gave over the floor to Costa for a second, but the question was if there was key data that you would like to have aside from the control over where your market is, what would that be?
Aside from control of the market, just to be aware of the market, how we fit in, and also something you mentioned before, Uber Eats' actual market, what their shares are. In other words, they operate as though they see themselves as the big fish in the pond and don't acknowledge the others. So it would be nice to see, how they're doing in our area versus DoorDash or whoever else there may be. Whoever else there may be. I'd like to be able to see those things. I do see the one thing I didn't mention they do have on the report is feedback from customers. So we can see how they're rating us and what kinds of complaints they have. But, of course, because of the anonymous nature or pseudo-anonymous nature of these aggregators, we can't respond to them directly about their concerns the way we could internally. So I would love for them to have a method where, if someone has a true concern, they can put us together to actually resolve it instead of leaving it to Uber Eats to toss them a coupon or give them a refund or other things that don't imply the level of service we want to provide to our customers.
Yeah. And that's a pretty good lead into the next topic, which was just around, it sounds like you get a report back from these aggregators around the customer experience, and you can, they provide you with how you're being reviewed by them. Do you find that, by using aggregators, you have a higher percentage of orders that are customers that have negative experiences, because of the aggregator, or is it about the same as your in-store customers?
Well, I think our skin gets kind of thick in these days of Yelp, the Yelp phenomenon going on, and you get to a place where you realize that many of the people who are trying to be critics were never trained to be critics, and they don't know how to go about communicating what their real concern is. And then we also have what I call the Facebook phenomenon, which is the button pushers. People who push like or dislike just because they see a button to push. So it can be very difficult to discern whether someone is truly complaining or this is just their first chance to make a complaint about something. You know, I mean, we do have some people who will go around Uber and call us directly and ask for our version of resolution, and as much as we can, we will. But as you probably know, Uber Eats, they're the ones collecting the money, so we can't refund it. They're the ones sending the drivers, so we can't send another driver out. We don't even know where to go. So I don't know a way around that. People have been given this open forum to complain and make a fuss over things that they never would have before. Hold on a second.
Sure.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm back now. Go ahead.
Oh, I just that's a really interesting point that you're kind of at the will of Uber to handle your customer experience because you're kind of blind to who the customer is and your ability to interact with the customer is limited. So it's almost like your ability to control that customer experience is minimized by Aggregator. Costa, is that do you have a similar concern, or is that not your experience necessarily?
We don't have those experience because I already told all employees is we try not to talk to the customers because it's not our customer, it's their customer.
Mm-hmm.
We see it this way. So we try not to.
Just wanted to make sure I understood that. So for the aggregators, you're willing. It sounds like you're more willing to more or less let Uber handle all of that, and you kind of say that they're not necessarily your customers. At that point, they're Uber's customers?
Yeah, we say it this way because we have no in charge of the bill whatsoever on directions on pay. Like, for example, we have happened before. Not with Uber. Uber is really good. We have problem with skip dishes. The driver steals the burger.
No.
I think he's too hungry, right? Yeah.
I know that one. I know that one.
People laugh. Yeah. It's not the first time even. So it's worse than that before. So long story short, to wrap up, skip the dishes has been bought by Just Eat. So long time ago, they didn't use those platforms. They're using a phone call for every single order. That is annoying. But to the end is we tell all the employees it's their customers. We have no authority to charge the customer or not charge or refund. So if you have no control on the financial on the bill, then there's no point to negotiate anything. Just leave it to them. They will do it. So our job is to cook the food, make sure it's good, it's hot, and they go. Other than that, we can't control anything because the driver is so different. They can tell us the food is damaged one time. You say, really? Okay, the food is damaged. How can the food be damaged? You throw it on the air and throw it on the street and get step a couple of times and come back to a customer? Come on. But yeah, the bottom line is I find out is, you know what, it's not our customers. What we do is we can minimum communications is we don't have a drink today. Do you willing to swap anything? Other than that, we don't deal with anything because we selling 200-300 orders before. They were saying that a couple of burgers is missing. We know already what's going on because when we're printing out, every single burger is labeled by hand for now, and I'm still looking for solution because we have to be labeled every single burgers. And missing burgers, there's no point, right? So at the end, it's not your customers because it's out of your control. Because they're not walking customers. You're not giving the food to them directly.
Yep.
So it's not your customers. What to do is handled by them. They already give you the food. They already give you the service. You deal with them. If the food is not coming, customer call, you have the cell phone, you track, we have no control. You better call them. And we don't get paid too until like you few days ago. There's no other way you can deal with the customer because if you're saying that you're trying to make to be as close as the customer, no, you're not because you don't reach this customer. They reach. What brings the customer in is about the food and the brand that we establish, and they know. Just like McDonald's, when they come to McDonald's, they have expectations. So we're trying to do the same thing, and it works so far because we have to tell customer that it's out of our control. When we give it to the drivers, you have to contact them because it happened before when like 3 years before, we give it the food. Within 3 hours, the customer called back, "Where's my food?" I was saying, "Really? After 3 hours, you're calling about the food? You're not hungry?" So this kind of thing is telling you that there's no way he can be your customer. So we just leave it.
Okay. And just quickly, do you guys know what percentage of your orders, when you're working with an aggregator, what percentage of your set of aggregators, what percentage of the orders have some issue, or at least the customer expresses some kind of issue with them? Is it 2%? Is it 10%?
For me, it's closer to 2%. By the way, I want to mention that I appreciate the gentleman just now was very to the point. He was saying exactly the same thing I was trying to say, but I love the way he said it. Because that is what happens. And hey, man, let me share one real quick, too. He mentioned somebody saying that the food looks messed up when it arrived or a burger is missing. I've had Uber Eats try to deduct an entire meal where, let's say, for instance, just keeping it simple, an entree with 3 entrees with 3 sides and then 1 dessert. And the guest said they got the dessert and nothing else. And then Uber says, okay, well, we're taking all the money away. And you got to be kidding me. So this driver delivered just a dessert and not all this other food because we're crazy. No way. So, yeah, but again, that's more like 2% for us. But hey, it's just nice to hear. It's sad, but it's nice to hear somebody else have problems like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, that's awful, and it's really an important kind of point to raise. So glad you guys brought that.
And by the way, gentlemen, I don't mean to be rude in any way, but I'm gonna have to take another call in like 4 minutes. Are we anywhere near the end?
Yeah, no, we're wrapping up in 4 minutes. You're absolutely right. We're gonna close this up.
Oh.
If there's any last couple things that you guys want to mention around, how could we make this better in a couple sentences, or even what else is on the top of your head? But let's try to stick to the topic. If there's 2 or 3 things, 3 most important things to make this experience better, what would it be? Carol, you first, since you got to jump off.
One, I would love to have what I thought Rebel was doing when I first signed up with Uber Eats. I would love not to have to go through Charlie or anyone like that, but for you guys to figure out a way to get the order straight in. I know I complained about that, but still, I'd be willing to try it under this circumstance, but have the orders come right in. I'd love to be able to monitor them in your delivery management console, and whatever else can be done to simplify the communication process with customer service for the aggregator. Because as we have agreed, there's only so much we can do communicating with the guest. The main thing for us, I believe what the other gentleman and I are most concerned with is getting the order in timely, getting it out the door timely, and getting paid with the fewest hassles possible. And I think that that's possible through Revel. I think that you guys have the resources there to make it happen if you can get Uber Eats or any of the other aggregators to cooperate and see how that would simplify things.
Yep. No, okay, that's great. Thanks a lot, Daryl. We have to jump off. We understand.
Okay.
Really appreciate your time and your insights. It's been super helpful for us. So Costa, if you had to give, 2 or 3 changes that you would love to see, or things that would help you, but what comes to mind?
You mean the aggregators or overall what we're doing? Which one you are?
Yeah, with respect to aggregators.
That's not too much actually. There have already been so many troubles.
So everything.
Yeah, they're running coming from different platforms and they have different people. It's more like the problem coming from the technology and customers. There's nothing wrong with their business. Yeah. Our technology is not up to date. We always have delay, Wi-Fi is not good. And I have been using a lot of problem, even with we have a problem too with the orders, Charlie. So now I didn't use cable. I'm using an LTE router to accept all the orders. It's faster. So other than that they're almost the same. They're causing a lot of problems. The best one is Uber Eats. There's no trouble. Yeah, the driver don't do anything, and they have all the system ready. Even they cannot find a driver to the system would find another driver automatically within 3-4 minutes. That is, nobody can do it for now. So those are the. I think he's top of the game. You can't beat it.
Sorry, could you repeat that last sentence? You think what?
I was thinking like Uber is top of the game. You cannot beat them.
I see.
You cannot beat it. Yeah, even though the one coming from Germany, Fedora, is the top in Europe, Switzerland, Italy. That's the top one. It's not as good as Uber Eats.
That's really interesting to hear that Uber is crushing the market in your guys' opinion.
You have to be efficient. If you're not efficient, it means it's not working.
Yeah.
So Uber has been really efficient in certain areas because their specialty is efficient. If it's not efficient, the taxi is not coming.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did you guys have, I'm looking at the folks in the room, anything else that you wanted to ask of Costa in this last 2 minutes?
Actually, the last thing I want Revel to take a look is the Revel is missing the point going to the phone in the future because the kiosk is one of the key things that you guys should consider. When McDonald's is going to put all the kiosks and Wendy's is going to put 1,000 of them and Burger King is going to put 2,000 this year, if you miss the market, you're done because Touch Pistol is coming. I have been struggling with the kiosk with a lot of features. And even though talking about a little thing we reveal about the SMS gateway sending out to reset the pin of the customer, you cannot believe it. We have 8-minute delay for sending out the pin. I have a trivial account that I can test it. We have an online order system we built. We tested it ourselves. We're working on it. Our SMS reset is faster than yours 100 times. It's been also 2 months not setting up properly, but I get it. It's a business. Not too many people using kiosks. It's not your priority. It makes sense. But if you don't see the future, the vision is going to use it, you miss the opportunities to compete with others.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And in fact, kiosk is something that we are now kind of viewing as a key strategic initiative within the company. And we are certainly trying to improve and build out and really make the kiosk experience a lot more robust. Yeah. So really appreciate the feedback on that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up.
No, it's good. River is a really good company. They're trying to do everything. You can see the system is really good. We're using your experience that you've been building up the system. You can tell.
Well,
Yeah.
Good to hear. Appreciate that.
No worries.
All right. So it is now exactly 12 p.m. Again, we really appreciate your taking the time to talk to us and walk us through your experience with aggregators and with Rebel. Good insights on the kiosk and what we need to do there to make that better for you. So thank you so much for your time, Costa. Really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good one.
You too. Goodbye.
Goodbye.